Hello everyone and welcome to EduTab. In this video we are going to talk about the strategy which can be used for the EPFO APFC examination which is going to be conducted by UPSC, and this strategy is specifically aimed at those aspirants who are freshers when it comes to UPSC exams. We all know that many of us aspirants have not appeared for the examinations which are conducted by the Union Public Service Commission, and there are a variety of dilemmas, variety of confusions or misconceptions, we can say, in the minds of those aspirants who have been appearing for, let's say, other competitive examinations of different banks, of regulatory bodies or other examinations, but not for UPSC. And in this video I am here to clear all those misconceptions and to tell you the strategy which can be used if you have not yet appeared for any UPSC examination and want to clear the EPFO EPFC examination which is going to be conducted by UPSC. So first of all, my dear friends, being a fresher is not easy when it comes to UPSC examinations, because obviously if you have no experience for preparing for UPSC exam, you might be feeling that these exams are quite difficult, and this is a misconception in minds of many of the people that UPSC exams are difficult as compared to the other exams and they cannot be cracked, or they are very difficult to crack by those aspirants who do not have any prior experience with the UPSC. Or let's say this in another words, that if you want to crack any UPSC exam, you need multiple attempts, you need to be engaged with UPSC for more than 1 or 2 or 3 years, and then only you can clear UPSC exams. This is not at all true. Next, you might be thinking that you don't know the pattern and scope of UPSC exams. They are a bit different from other banking or regulatory bodies exams. Then can I compare myself with UPSC candidates? Can I compete with them? There's this aura that is in our minds. I'm not saying in every one of our minds, but most of these students, they think that the people who are preparing for UPSC, let's say civil services or any other examinations, they are at some other level, they are some extraordinary people and we cannot compete with them. And if we want to compete, there is very less chance, and if we want to compete, we will have to do some very extraordinary efforts. This is again not true. Next, the candidates with UPSC experience, are they preferred over freshers? For example, if you appear in the interview for EPFO EPFC examination and you are not from the UPSC background, you have not appeared for any other examinations being conducted by UPSC, does this put you at a disadvantage when compared to any other aspirant who has already appeared for the UPSC examinations? This is again not true. Whether you have been appearing for UPSC exams or not, if you are going through to the interview stage for the APFC exam, there is no difference between the two of you. Right? So these different doubts, these different misconceptions, they make the life difficult for any non-UPSC aspirant, which we are calling in this video as a fresher. Okay. So what can be the strategy for freshers? First of all, know why you are preparing for APFC exam. Your motto should be clear. Then only you will be motivated enough. Then only you will be able to focus enough on your goal, and you will be able to be consistent with your APFC preparation. Next, you should know about your exam. You should very much be familiar about the pattern of the exam, about the scope of your exams. Then PYQs analysis. You must analyze the previous year's questions which have been asked in the EPFO EPFC examination as well as in the EO examination which was conducted in 2021. If you analyze those previous year's questions, then you can determine for yourself whether you have prepared for those subjects or not. The kinds of questions or the kinds of topics that are being asked in the examination, are you aware about them or not? And if you are not aware, how much time and how much effort would you need in order to complete those topics? Next, finalize the sources for preparation, and these all things I am going to tell you in this interview, in this session, that what are the different sources that you can use for preparation of all the components which are part of the APFC examination. So first of all, why do you want to prepare for APFC? Is this for money and power? Because obviously this exam puts you in a very good job profile of Assistant Provident Fund Commissioner. You have ample opportunities to earn for yourself decent money for yourself and your family, and then you have a considerable say in such an organization, so you have that kind of a bureaucratic power also. Next, prestige. Any kind of government job, any kind of such socially secure job comes with its own prestige that is there in the society. So are you opting for this kind of a job only because of the prestige, or only because of the job security? You don't want to compete in the private sector, don't want to be at the mercy of uncertainties in the private sector, so that's why you are going for this kind of a job which has ample job security? Or you want to really serve the people, you want to really work in the field of labor welfare, which is basically the mandate of the EPFO organization? And do you want a very comfortable job profile? Your postings will be in metro cities, in tier 1 cities at least, and then you will obviously be working in offices. The field work that is there is very minimal, and most of the work that you will be doing from the confines of your own offices. So what is the motto? Are these motto enough for you, or there is something else which is driving you, or you have set a goal and you have decided that you want to clear the APFC examination, you want to be in this job for whatever reason? I just want to make sure that your reason must be clear to you. You must be aware that why you are going to put your efforts in this examination. If the reason is clear enough to you, then only you can put your 100% efforts in the preparation for this exam. Next, know about the APFC exam. If you look at the different types of examinations, like for example, there are banking examinations where most importantly you must be aware about the quantitative aptitude, about English language, as well as some basic general awareness, basic current affairs. Next comes the upper level of regulatory bodies, where you also have to be aware about economic social issues of the country, finance and management, general awareness, and some other unique topics depending upon the kind of regulatory body you are applying for. Next comes your APFC. APFC is the tier of the examination which is being conducted by UPSC, but not strictly an examination which is the mandate of UPSC. If we talk about APFC, there will be some general studies, there are current affairs, and obviously there are economic social issues, and the level of questions is a bit better as compared to regulatory bodies. Finally, the upper tier comes of UPSC civil services examinations, or other examinations which are at the highest level of bureaucracy, and there you have to prepare for variety of subjects. Your optional subject is there are variety of papers. You don't only have to solve MCQs, you have to write descriptive answers. So these are certain differences, and you must be aware about the difference between a UPSC examination, like a civil service exam, and then the APFC examination, which is not particularly at a difficulty level of a civil services exam. So now the myths and facts should very much be clear to you. Is APFC only for UPSC aspirants? It is not true. As I've already told you, all UPSC exams are not of IAS level. UPSC conducts multiple examinations with varying difficulty levels, and IAS examination or civil services examination is one of the most difficult examinations there. So obviously you cannot compare APFC with your IAS examination. Okay, so exam is not that difficult, first of all. Next, only UPSC aspirants can cover the GS topics. Obviously this is not true. If you have enough time on your hands, if you are motivated enough, obviously you can cover all those GS topics at the level, at least at the level which is going to be asked in the APFC examination. I'm not saying that you must be so thorough with those subjects that you can appear for the civil services, but at least you can clear the APFC exam. So yes, you can prepare the GS topics, and this is not only for the aspirants who have been preparing for the UPSC examinations. Then level of GS preparation is same as the UPSC exam? No, it is again not true. The level of GS preparation is lower as compared to the IAS examination. If we talk about the level of GS preparation, it is about the prelims level of UPSC exam, only the first stage of civil services, which is an objective type paper, the kind of paper that you will face in the APFC also. So in the APFC examination, you will first of all be giving a recruitment test, which is an objective test containing 120 questions. You only have to answer your correct, only have to choose your correct answers out of the 4 options given. So again, the level of difficulty is not like the mains examinations. You don't have to write descriptive answers. You only have to have a good understanding of the subject and a good MCQ solving ability, right? So be very much clear about these myths and facts. And then if we talk about the subjects which you can say are beneficial or advantage for the UPSC aspirants, these are the subjects: the Indian culture and history, Indian economy, population development, globalization, governance and Indian constitution, general science and social security. But this is not the entire syllabus of APFC. There are other components also in the APFC examination which are of a different nature, and obviously you can prepare for those subjects only UPSC aspirants, for them also these topics, these unique topics, they are going to be new. So obviously you have an upper hand over UPSC aspirants as if we talk about those different subjects. So let us now talk about the syllabus for all these different examinations. If we talk about the APFC syllabus, this is the first year in the blue that you can see: accountancy and auditing, industrial relations, labor laws, and insurance and social security. These are the three topics I would say are also new for the UPSC aspirant. So we will be calling them as non-UPSC subjects, non-GS subjects. Then the largest component will obviously be the GS subjects: current events, Indian heritage, history, culture, population, globalization, Indian constitution and governance, Indian economy, computer applications, as well as general science. So this is the biggest year, and yes, this is the syllabus that is common with the UPSC aspirants. Next comes the general English and general mental ability and statistics. Now here the edge is with those aspirants who have been working, who have been preparing for the banking sector or regulatory sector examinations, because there English and general mental ability, they are asked at a much higher level. And now in this particular part, the UPSC candidates are at a distinct disadvantage because they do not prepare very hard for these topics for the UPSC examination. In the civil services, the math and English, they are only of qualifying nature. So you only have to score about 1/3 of the marks, and the level and the difficulty level of the questions is also not very great. So then you have an advantage over those UPSC aspirants when we talk about these topics. And yes, these topics, they are new for both of us. They are new for both UPSC and non-UPSC aspirants. Okay. Next, if we analyze the PYQs of APFC examinations, most of the questions in the previous years have been asked from the general studies. And obviously general studies, this component, as I have shown you, this component has a lot of subjects. So these questions, most of the questions, around half, a bit more, less than half questions, they are coming from GS, but from a various number of subjects. From about 3 or 4 subjects you are getting these questions. If we talk about social security, you are seeing 9 questions from there. From current affairs, there is a good number of questions. From elementary maths, that is quantitative aptitude, there is a good number of questions. So if we talk about GS, you additionally have to prepare current affairs, mental ability and English, and then you are all set for about 90 questions of the examinations. The rest of the 30 questions will be coming from industrial relations, labor laws, accounting, statistics, all that. And that will be the make and break, because if you are not prepared for these extra 30 questions, obviously even these UPSC aspirants will not be able to clear the cutoff. Only those aspirants who have a decent understanding of both GS, mental ability and English, and also accountancy, also the subjects like industrial relations and labor laws, they only will be able to attempt enough questions and gain enough marks in order to be qualifying for interview. Okay, so if we talk about strategy for UPSC subjects, if you have not yet studied all those GS subjects, if you have not yet studied Indian history, culture, economy, polity, etc., what you have to do, you have to identify important topics of all these different subjects. You have to identify relevant sources from where you are going to prepare these topics, and then you are going to revise. Multiple revision is required in order to memorize all these different GS subjects. So be very careful. It is very important to identify the topics from which questions are going to be asked, because if you start reading Indian history from chapter 1 to chapter last, there is a lot of content that is not at all relevant from the APFC examination point of view, and you will be only wasting your time and energy reading about those topics which are not yet important. So it is very important that you identify the important topics, exam relevant topics, and then you identify good and reliable sources from where you will be able to prepare those topics. Okay, so now, being a fresher, as I told you, it comes with lots of drawbacks, but it also comes with lots of benefits. For example, you have enough time before the examination. Okay, the notification of the exam is going to be out soon, and then you will have a good amount of time in order to prepare for all the UPSC subjects or the GS subjects. Next, some unique components are also new for UPSC aspirants. As I told you, industrial relations, accountancy, auditing, these topics are also new for the UPSC aspirants, and they do not have enough time on their hands because they're also preparing for the UPSC examination, which obviously has a lot of syllabus, a vast syllabus, and they do not have this time luxury, and they also have to prepare these new topics, these unique components. Next, less pressure on you. Obviously the pressure on you is less, because if you are being considered a fresher, if you are being considered a newbie to the UPSC exam, you have a lot less to lose. But the people who have been preparing GS for quite some time and who have been appearing for the UPSC examination, they have a good amount of pressure on them because they are expected to do better in this examination. Next, only about 10% of the UPSC crowd is serious. Obviously, if we look at the number of aspirants who are preparing for UPSC exam, the number is huge. But the serious candidates are only about 10% who are in competition, and you have to compete with only those serious candidates. You don't have to worry about the large mass that is there. You don't have to be, intimidated by the sheer number of guys who are claiming to be UPSC aspirants. Most of them, they do not have enough knowledge. You might be having better knowledge as compared to them about the GS subjects. Next is positivity and consistency. It always pays off, always. This is the thumb rule, and this is the bedrock of the human civilizations, that if you are positive and optimistic about your efforts, and if you are consistent with your efforts, if you keep working hard until you achieve your goal, obviously you will be getting rewards for that. So it does not matter if you have read about G subjects or not earlier, but if you are consistent with your efforts, if you are honest with your efforts, obviously you will be getting rewards for that in form of selection in the examination. Right. So now if we talk about the preparation strategy, this is the detailed strategy that in my opinion you can follow. You can start with the revision of general English and quantitative aptitude and statistics. It will take about 20 days in order to learn the concepts of these two subjects, and then you will have to keep practicing. Okay. So any of the subjects that I'm telling you, once you read them, after that your more and more chunk of your time will be devoted to revision of the subjects and not new learning. So you start with general English and general mental ability, and then you keep on practicing these topics daily or weekly or monthly basis, and then you start reading Indian culture, heritage and freedom movement. After that, population development, then governance, constitution. Note this down, or even you need not note this down. You will get this PDF available in the Telegram channel soon, and you will be able to download it from there. But then general science, Indian economy, this specific order of the subjects has been designed keeping in mind the time that will be taken by you in order to prepare them, and how much time do you need to revise them, because obviously you need to practice general mental ability for a large period of time. So if you read mental ability, if you start studying maths at the end of your timetable, at the end of your schedule, so you will get lesser time in order to practice this. So I have included history first, I have included maths first and statistics first, because for history you need a lot of revision, for mental ability you need a lot of practice. If we talk about accountancy and auditing, obviously there are concepts and formulas that you have to learn, but I have kept it closer to the examination at the by end of your schedule, because if the subject is new to you, then you will be able to retain it for then you will be able to retain it better in the examination. Because if you read accountancy initially, then there is a chance that because this is a very technical subject and because this is a very important and vast subject, you might be confusing, or you might be keep forgetting the basic concepts and provisions of the accountancy and labor laws, right? So that's why I've kept those particular topics at the end of the preparation plan. Now, if the preparation plan is clear to you, then the sources must be there. So if we talk about general English for comprehension and grammar, this the Arihant book is very commendable. Then for vocabulary, word power made easy is there, and then the important topics I have listed down, which you can read from the PDF that I'll be giving to you. Next is general mental ability and statistics. You can have statistics for economy, which is the NCERT textbook in the class 11th, which has enough material for you to cover these topics that I mentioned here. And then quantitative aptitude for practice questions, you can use this book by R.S. Agarwal, which is a very well-read book by all the aspirants who are preparing for the competitive examinations, and the important topics I have also listed here. These are the topics that you have to read and keep practicing numericals on. Next is your Indian culture, heritage and freedom movement. The important topics for Indian culture is listed here. For Indian freedom movement, they are listed here, and the sources are basically your NCERT books. For history, you will also be reading the freedom movement, the Bipin Chandra, the history of modern India, and Nitin Singhania's Indian culture and heritage. If you want, you can have any of these books, but in my opinion, NCERTs from class 8th to class 12th will be sufficient for you in order to prepare this. Okay. Next, population development. Again, NCERTs of geography and economy are very much there. Reports and indices you can cover from current affairs sources, where we talk about various reports like human development report, human development indicators, etc. Next comes your governance and constitution of India. Important topics I have mentioned here, and all these topics, they can be covered from one single book, that is Indian Polity by Lakshmi Kant. Right? Although there are NCERTs and there are other books also, but for polity and governance, I would recommend that you cover only this Indian polity. Right? Next up, is your general science. If we talk about general science, NCRTs are there. Web sources, you have the websites of ISRO, you have the websites of Ministry of Science and Technology, and new developments are can be covered from the current affairs, which are basically newspapers, right? Next, if we talk about Indian economy. So Indian economy, the important topics I have listed here. These important topics are mentioned here. You have to read about these topics and the sources which you can use. First of all, I would recommend NCRTs, very nicely written books about Indian economy. But in addition to that, Ramesh Singh's Indian Economy is also a very good book, which is used by aspirants for the preparation of economy for different competitive examinations. Again, for economic current affairs, you will have to use newspapers, right? Then is your industrial relations and labor laws. By the way end of your preparation, there are about 6 labor laws that you have to cover, and you have to read all the provisions there. You have to retain all the provisions that are there, right? And then your industrial relations are there. Industrial relations, there are various topics, and these topics must be covered through your sources, be it a specific book or through any current affairs. Next is your standard source, that is Industrial Relations and Labor Laws. This is the book by Pyali Ghosh and Tata McGraw-Hill's TMH book is there. And then web source, you can use the Ministry of Labor, Justice and Employment. Okay. Next is social security. You will have to learn about schemes of various ministries like social justice empowerment, women child development, health and family welfare, minority affairs, labor and employment ministry. So all these government schemes which are laid down for the welfare of the vulnerable sections of the population, you will have to read about those schemes. And if we talk about insurance, insurance would require only a minor reading of few terms and concepts related to the topic of insurance. And then obviously you have the websites of all these ministries. You can go to the websites and learn about the various programs and missions and schemes which are being initiated by these particular ministries. Okay, computer applications, you can have this Arihan's book about computer awareness. All the information that you will need for the computer awareness topic, you will get in this book. And then is your accountancy and auditing. You can use either the NCRT's class 11th and 12th, or you can use the Introduction to Accountancy by S. Chand. This book is also very good, and you have to prepare these particular topics from these books in order to be prepared for the APFC examination. Okay. Finally, if we talk about current events, a good deal of questions are asked from current events, current affairs, and these are the dimensions that you have to cover. For example, you have to learn about government schemes and programs that you will be doing for the social security part also, right? Next is reports and schemes, various national and international reports that are there, important committees set up by the Indian government to look into some particular issues. Next is space science, technology related news, the various missions sent by NASA, ISRO, various technological developments that are there, or innovations which are done. Next is awards, honors, banking and finance in news, days and their themes like World Environment Day, World Population Day, etc. Next is defense exercises in which Indian armed forces are involved, summits, conferences and meets like G20, G10, WTO meet, WHO meet, UN meets are happening, important appointments which are happening, all these are also covered, right? So all these different topics, they are the dimensions about which you have to prepare. You have to orient your current affairs preparation accordingly. Okay, so where you are going to cover these current events from, you are going to cover them from newspapers, magazines and different online sources like the compilations of various coaching institutes. You can also use them, and you have to be regular with this because current affairs, they will be coming from about a year back from the date of the examination. So you'll have to be consistent with these current affairs so that you are able to memorize them, and there is no confusion between the different current affairs news items that you read about. Okay, Finally, the last part of the strategy or the advice which I can give you is certain mistakes that you must avoid. For example, waiting for the notification to start preparation. Whether you are an UPSC aspirant or not, the time is of the essence here. And if you basically have not prepared for the exams which are conducted by UPSC and you are new to the GS subjects, then it is very important that you do not wait for the notification in order to start your preparation. As much time as you can get, the earlier you start your preparation, the better prepared obviously you will be for the exam. You will have more time on your hand to cover all these topics, and then you can give a very stiff competition to other candidates who you think are better for this exam because they are UPSC candidates. Next, not following syllabus and PYQs, if you are only looking at a particular section of the syllabus and just reading without analyzing the previous year's questions, without identifying the important topics, then again your efficiency will be not that great. And not doing balanced preparation, if you are only reading about the GS subjects and ignoring the other verticals of maths and English and your accountancy, auditing, etc., or if you are only practicing MCQs and not reading about Indian history, art and culture or current affairs, so that again will not be helping you. You must have a balanced preparation, right, across the subjects first. Second, are you following standard books or are you preparing completely online through magazines, through different apps, etc.? So again, you will have to make sure that the sources that you are using, those sources are also well balanced. You are consulting standard books as well, and then you are updating your knowledge through current affairs going online, and then again you have to make your own notes. If you are not preparing your own notes, that will be very much self-harming, because if you prepare your own notes, you will be able to quickly revise them by the time examination date comes. So make sure that whatever books you are reading, whatever current affairs newspapers or magazines you are reading, you have a separate register, you have a separate hard copy of your notes where you are scribbling down all the important events, all the important information that you want to be handy with you. Finally, procrastinating revision to last month, just covering, studying and covering the syllabus and not revising it and not practicing MCQs, not practicing mock tests is not going to help you. Because if you are waiting for the last month before the examination that I will first of all read everything, I will cover everything, and then in the last month I will be giving mock tests, I will be revising everything, then it is not a very good strategy. You start reading on Monday and then you start revising from Tuesday itself, because the next day, from the next day you start a preparation, your revision should start continuing. Whatever you are reading, you have to make a timely schedule, that whatever I read in 1 week, I have to revise it the next week, and I have to keep practicing mock tests. I have to keep appearing for mock tests, so that whatever revision that I'm doing, whatever subjects that I'm studying, I'm able to test whether I have retained it or not. Okay. So these are all the advice points that I could have given you. If you are not a UPSC aspirant, you have not appeared for these examinations and you are a bit worried or anxious about appearing for the APFC exam, I hope this video helped you. Keep on studying, keep on growing. Jai Hind and Jai Bharat.